2/2 for your trouble, and sometimes that 2/2 can actually be a Pelucranos or a Whisperwood Elemental or some other high-impact play. So the green-white Devotion deck has a lot more staying power than some of the other builds we've seen in Devotion because, as you just mentioned, there's a lot more to bridge the gap between your mana and the stuff you're trying to get to.
Yeah, and it also gives you insurance against a board sweeper, which the deck really never had previously.
Exactly, just ramping into End Hostilities or Crux of Fate, that would be enough to beat this deck, but Master of the Unseen gives you a lot of staying power there, and Whisperwood Elemental is a great insurance policy against sweepers.
Yeah, if you have situations where you have the End Hostilities and you just don't even want to cast it into the board.
Exactly.
See both players knowing that this third game might be a grind. Quick shuffles and presentations.
Yep. Neither player wants to draw. Again, because of the high attendance here, we're probably looking at X and 2 to make day 2. And if that's the case, then a loss and a draw are the same thing for the purposes of making the second day.
Absolutely. So we are going to have game 3. Juan back on the play with Abzan mid-range. And did not see too much sideboard action there from Hal. Mostly his main deck cards taking that game down. And it will be 7s on both sides. So start out black-white Temple from Juan. That'll keep it on top, back over to Hal. And he also has a Temple of his own. No Elvish Mystic this time. Look, has Whisperwood Elemental. Looks like he's going to scry that one onto the top. Aggressive. He has a Whisperwood in his hand already, but just wants more threats.
Whisperwood Elemental's so good against Abzan mid-range that unless Hal's at risk of missing land drops, I think he keeps it there just basically every single time.
Yeah, and this is a great green-white Devotion playing a very slow game here. Turn 2 Mastery of the Unseen. No mana ramp creatures. He's just going to play a value game against Abzan.
Yep. Though Mastery can be pretty slow in this spot, and it is liable to get killed without producing very much, but you can settle in for a long game if you're a green-white Devotion and try to blunt the impact of sweepers and spot removal.
Well, Juan will start a good card advantage game of his own. It's going to be a turn 3 Courser of Crufix. And doesn't play a third land for that, but hoping to generate some card advantage of his own on that side. And you see it looks like a card like Drown in Sorrow in Juan's hand, so not too worried about Mastery right now. I mean, Mastery will still create card advantage, but it probably won't deal damage for a while.
It's just so slow right now, too, you know? And
yeah,
Juan's got a lot of time before he really has to worry about it.
Nykthos to play for Hal, and he'll just pass back. It really says a lot about this matchup, though, that Hal on 7 is open to keeping a hand that is a turn 2 Mastery with no turn 3 play and no turn 1 play.
Yeah, being able to have a hand like this with no mana acceleration is pretty crazy.
You know, I would think in most matchups that this is something this is not a viable strategy, but if there's no pressure from the Abzan deck, I mean, fire away.
And it's the type of hand where something, let's say, you know, green-red Devotion probably can't keep hands like this because it just doesn't have the same level of staying power.
And just a land from Juan, swings for 2, shows Hero's Downfall on top of the deck. Hal, 4th land and a pass back. So yeah, he's just on the Mastery of the Unseen plan.
Well, there's not a lot to be gained for Hal to cast a creature now in the face of that Hero's Downfall, so you might as well wait a little while, try to play the Mastery game, build up a board.
Swing again from Juan, puts Hal down to 16. He drew Hero's Downfall for the turn. Another Courser of Crufix showing on top of the deck. You see plenty more lands on Juan's side. Plays land 5, goes to 21. And now we start manifesting. Hal will do that on end step. And you see Whisperwood Elemental, Valorous Stance. Those are all among things in his hand.
But now Hal really can't just go ahead and play the Whisperwood Elemental because of the downfall. So he's got to kind of finagle this for a little bit.
So Hal flips up the card. It was a Courser of Crufix. Plays a fetch land. Now with the trigger on, Juan has priority. He can kill it. See if he opts to. And it'll be Hero's Downfall on the Courser of Crufix. And Hal will let that happen. Elvish Mystic's still on top of his deck for now. We'll see whether... Imagine he'll reshuffle before that one happens. Card draw for Juan that turn was another copy of Courser. Abzan Charm showing on top of his deck. As the attacks start again, Hal goes down to 16 on that one, and it is a second Courser off Juan. Plays that before playing his land for the turn, which is a Plains. Gains 2, up to 22. And then he passes again. We'll see whether or not Hal wants to draw that Elvish Mystic. Can't imagine he really does.
No, I don't think so.
And he doesn't. Down to 15. Still a lot of, because he has devoted so few resources to the board, I mean, there's still a ton of cards in Hal's hand. The only card he's really played this game has been Mastery of the Unseen. Or at least the only card he's paid face full value for.
The issue is that he needs to be able to kind of do multiple things in a turn here because he's worried about spot removal. So he doesn't want to just cast Whisperwood Elemental and hope it's good. But his hand might be so bottlenecked with expensive cards that he just has to absorb a bad turn to be able to move forward from there.
Yeah, draw for the turn was Sylvan Caryatid. He does have Pelucranos, Whisperwood, Valorous Stance, second Whisperwood, a lot of options. And he's just going to play this slow. He's going to grind. It's Sylvan Caryatid, leaving up mana for Mastery of the Unseen. Or possibly for casting Pelucranos. And that's actually what it will be. But Caryatid a great blocker on this board.
And you can see Hal just trying to throw out some juicy targets for removal spells, willing to throw Pelucranos away because the real thing he's trying to do is get to Whisperwood Elemental.
Yeah. Juan using his second copy of Hero's Downfall. Draws Abzan Charm for the turn, then plays a land off the top of his deck. It's Llanowar Wastes. Top of the deck is another Llanowar Wastes. Juan will swing with both of his coursers, and Hal blocks. And Juan going on the aggressive. It's going to be Abzan Charm to put counters on his creatures to take down Sylvan Caryatid. Hal will take 3 and go to 12.
I like this play a lot because, you know, trying to beat down with these Corsair crew fixes against a Sylvan Caryatid and a Mastery of the Unseen, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, especially if you don't have an answer for this Mastery. Eventually, you're going to lose this card advantage battle.
Right. So I like just going pure offense here.
Yeah, as Hal down to 11. So land 7 from Hal. Now we have Whisperwood Elemental. He finally waits till he has Valorous Stance back up for it. Not to mention that the Abzan Charm that would have exiled it is also gone.
Yep. Although
he's going to downfall it with the Manifest trigger on the stack, but that will not be all for naught. Valorous Stance will make it indestructible. Hero's Downfall does nothing. Now it's going to manifest the top card. As we go back here. And one of the powerful parts about this Green White Devotion deck is once he gets enough creatures in play, rather than blocking one, he can simply take the damage and start flipping up cards to just basically race.
we saw the Green White Devotion deck just be able to ignore certain things like Ash Cloud Phoenix and Stormbreath Dragon, which is something that typically the Devotion decks cannot do.
Speaking of Abzan Charm, here's another Abzan Charm for Juan. It exiles Whisperwood Elemental. Here comes an attack for 6. It's going to put Hal down to 5. Not to mention top card of Juan's deck. It's a pretty good one. It's going to be a Siege Rhino.
But still, there's no guarantee that this is a win for Juan. This deck can gain a lot of life. Another Whisperwood is more blocking.
Yep, another Whisperwood for Hal. It'll manifest another card. His remaining card, he does have a Banishing Light and one other. Don't know if he has that other Valorous Stance.
That's Banishing Light and a green card.
Yep, free Temple off the top for Juan. It goes up to 26, and we see End Hostilities on top of the deck. I can't imagine Juan wants that in the face of Whisperwood Elemental. We'll see if he keeps, though. He can scry it to the bottom.
Yep. I mean, it's a powerful Magic card, and it's not bad in this spot, but
It's not the ideal board, right? Your opponent's on Mastery of the Unseen, 7 lands, Whisperwood Elemental. Juan's going to still keep it.
Yep.
And here comes the attack. Pair of 3/5s. Hal knows Juan has a Siege Rhino in hand, so that's certainly going to affect this block. I'm just going to have to block everything.
yeah, I like Whisperwood and a token that you probably don't care about.
Well, you're losing to both.
You're losing to both tokens regardless. There's no way to stop that. Right. So in that event, the blocks are pretty straight up. It's Whisperwood and token in
on
front
one.
and
Yep.
Whisperwood in front of the other.
Yeah, Hal's hand is...
Unless he is able to unmorph something, in which case he can do this.
And yeah, he actually just blocked one of the coursers and then lost a creature, went to 2. Okay, Juan was going to go for the kill with Siege Rhino, but their trap all along is a Sylvan Caryatid. Hal gains 2, goes to 4, drops to 1.
It's a little weird to do that now. Hal probably should have done that inside of combat, so it's an extra life point because he would have one more creature in play.
Definitely agree. Draw is another Mastery of the Unseen. That, if he can turn the corner, that will be a great card for him to have. So here we go. It's going to be Pelucranos from Hal. That's creature number 3. And he's got a Banishing Light in hand. You have to think he needs to use it.
Well, there's not really any attacks right now for Juan.
Oh, yeah. And then he gets the manifest at the end
Yeah.
of his turn, Rough Whisper. So
So this is why Juan kept the End Hostilities on top. It's a pretty powerful card, and he still has a Windswept Heath in hand. So it's the option if he doesn't want it to just not have to draw it.
Yeah, and Juan, the thing is that Juan almost only has one turn here. Hal gets to manifest on end step here, and the moment Hal finds a creature, he can play the second mastery, flip up one of his manifests, and he'll be off to the races. That'll be 10 life.
Right. It's I don't know if Juan just has to make this attack right now. I think he's priced into having to cast End Hostilities. If not this turn, then next.
Thoughtseize on top of the deck for Juan. He drew End Hostilities. And we'll see the blocks that Hal makes here. He's at 1, but looks like he has stabilized.
Still hairy. I mean, it's still not a lock that he's able to stabilize from here, but he's got the tools.
All right, he's going to go ahead and activate Nykthos there. That's on 5 green mana, 6 green mana. He's going to Mastery, it looks like, with 2 mana up. And that will be Voyaging Satyr. That was more number 1. So now he gains 5 life, goes to 6. Therefore, that was what was behind the Sylvan Caryatid play.
And Voyaging Satyr is perfect here because it allows him to flip up and gain some life. Also means if he gets the next turn, he just has so much mana.
Juan doesn't cast End Hostilities to get rid of Voyaging Satyr. Things are going to get... Hal's going to gain a lot of life. Voyaging Satyr is going to have to chump. But Hal's still in a great spot.
Yep.
That 5 life was pretty big. He has to watch out, though. Remember, there are only 3 minutes remaining in the round. And Juan had a very healthy 31 life. That said, once Hal takes control of the game, it doesn't take that many turns for him to go nuts.
Well, it depends. Juan is capable of defending himself for a while. He's got a highlight total. His deck does generate some good blockers. He has more sweepers left. So it's not a lock he's able to, Hal is able to kill Juan very quickly from this spot.
Looks like Juan is going to go ahead and crack a fetch here. Thoughtseize still on top of his deck. Gonna crack again. He is doing this because this is gaining him life right now.
Yep.
Just wants more information. Wonder if there's a card. I suppose if Juan has Abzan Charm in hand, and he probably doesn't have Abzan Charm. I was wondering if he can instant speed draw this, or if there's a reason to do it now.
I think that if he had Abzan Charm, that Whisperwood Elemental would have just
left
the
been
table
dead.
a while ago, yeah.
Top card, Utter End. Best we've seen by far. Yeah, it's End Hostilities and land in Juan's hand. And here's the blocks. Pelucranos eats Siege Rhino. Courser eats a Voyaging Satyr, and no damage is dealt. Juan at 33, 2 minutes to play.
So I think Juan's plan from here has to be basically say go. It looks like he's going to cast the End Hostilities. I don't like this because it's too rough in the face of the Whisperwood Elemental. I think what he needed to do was basically draw a card, say the Utter End next turn, say go, Utter End the Whisperwood Elemental, untap, and then cast End Hostilities.
Wow, and we do see one of the hidden morphs for Hal was another Whisperwood Elemental, so 3 copies of Whisperwood gone.
Yep.
And 2 morphs, or 2 manifests rather, made there by Hal. And now he's got to be fast. On the clock, a minute to go. Draws to the turn, it's Courser of Krufix. Imagine we see Courser, maybe a manifest, and starts to attack. He's got to be quick, though. He doesn't have much time to work with.
Yep.
He's going to play Courser. Shows top card. It's another Courser. Swings for 4. Juan down to 29.
And this leaves him with the mana left over to still activate Mastery of the Unseen. So he still gets the token that he would have gotten had he just unmorphed the Whisperwood Elemental.
Utter End the draw for Juan. Both players know about it. Juan has to decide how to stay alive. He could Utter End the Mastery. He could Utter End a creature. He's going to Utter End away. We'll see if it's the Courser or the Mastery. It's the Mastery. It'll make one more guy. It's going to be Courser. Both players know. And that should be it from Juan. His last card of no help right now. Actually, it's just a land, I believe. Banishing Light, the top card from Hal. He does have another Mastery in hand. He has 8 power in play. Here comes the swing. Juan down to 21. And Temple will go ahead and scry for Hal. See if he wants to keep the Banishing Light. Looks like he does. Plays Mastery of the Unseen. And he'll go ahead and pass. Back over to Juan. We are now in time. This should be turn 0.
I think that if Hal was going to, if he's going to activate Mastery of the Unseen here, I think the Banishing Light should go on the bottom because you're just going to make a manifest token most likely.
Right. There's also, yeah, I mean, there are a couple things he can do here. He can also flip up a Courser so that he can use Nykthos then to create additional mana.
Yep.
But he will, on the end step, go ahead and manifest. Draws a land for the turn. Nykthos is the top card of his deck. That gives him a lot of lines he wants. He's going to play the force out of his hand actually and gain a life. 10 damage in play, but so this is turn 1. Hal has 3 more turns, and that should be enough actually to win for him.
I think so too.
He has 10 power.
Particularly with Whisperwood down.
He has Whisperwood as one of those morphs.
I thought you had mentioned before that Whisperwood.
Oh, no, the one that died was a Whisperwood.
Oh.
So he's actually he only has 1 remaining in his deck. But a swing here is for 10. That'll put Juan down to 9.
But even just cranking out 2 more Mastery tokens or 3 more Mastery tokens is good enough.
Looks good here. And this is, I think, you said this is a tough matchup for Abzan. It really shows it. You know, the removal spell in Creatures game, Juan more or less successfully played that. But the sources of card advantage in Hal's deck, whether they're Whispered Elemental or Mastery of the Unseen, are just they're not just 2-for-1s, they're 5-for-1s.
Yep. There's so many cards that the Green-White Devotion deck brings to the table that's answer this right now or you're dead. And there's so many cards like that, Whisperwood Elemental, Master of the Unseen. Even Pelucranos has moments like that. Nissa is a card like that.
Now we see a Glare of Heresy from Juan on the Mastery, but rather than going for it there, it's making more manifest. Hal flips up Fleeceman line, he swings, and that will be it. Hal Brady moving to 5-0 with Green-White Devotion.
That's a very impressive display, and I think that's the type of game right there that other builds of Green Devotion would not really be able to win. A lot of removal spells. I mean, there was multiple copies of Hero's Downfall, multiple copies of Abzan Charm, and an End Hostility is thrown in for good measure. But Master of the Unseen went untouched, and that's pretty much that.
Look at the game here. He did not play like a ramp deck. He just overpowered the mid-range deck, basically by playing mid-range. He had a turn 2 Mastery of the Unseen, turn 1 nothing, turn 3 nothing, turn 4 make a manifest.
Yep.
I mean, if you want to talk about just playing good cards and trying to card grind the other person, that's what Hal was doing.
And it's very impressive for a deck to be able to do that against Abzan, which is supposed to be the good stuff deck in the format. And Hal was able to just play a better version of that game plan.
Well, right, Abzan's the best deck at 2-for-1.